The story that you told at the Moth, I know it was like 8 years ago, but it's such a great story. I love it so much. People should go on YouTube right now and watch it. But the story about you with the police, I think it won the Moth too, but with you and the police coming into your house, was that a real story? That can't be real, was it?
Yeah. Yeah. So that story's funny because I hadn't really started stand up then,
Really?
and I had got raided the night before, I believe. I was going to UCB and I was in a storytelling class,
Yeah,
and then they were like, "Hey, we're going to the Moth. You want to come with us?" And I didn't even know what the Moth was.
yeah.
I didn't know it was a big deal. I didn't, And then I went with my homies, and they're like, "You put your name in a bucket, and if they pull your name, that you tell a story." And I did that, and then I was like, "What's the subject?" And they're like, "Duped. You've been duped." And I was like, I could kind of say that about my neighbor.
Yeah.
So what the story that's on the internet that went pretty viral, I was just so nervous. It killed, but I just forgot to like wrap it up and make it make sense because I was like, yeah, it's adrenaline. Because
Yeah.
that was like maybe my third time, fourth time on stage alone, you
Yeah.
know.
That's
It,
insane. You had such confidence. I haven't seen.
that was alcohol and weed. That was weed and alcohol. I'm sober now and don't know how I did that, but
Yeah.
back then I wouldn't know how to do it sober.
Yeah.
So yeah, I tell the story. I got raided by the police and it's on the internet. I'm not gonna tell the whole story, but bottom line, the cop that kicked in my door was pointing a shotgun at me
Yeah.
and I'm and and I just this is the bit, but it's true. And I'm like, Chris? And he's like, Craig? And I was like, what? And this is my buddy I went to middle school with, little league, baseball, high school. I've known this fool since I was like, I don't need 10, 11, 9, 12. I don't know, young. My whole life.
Yeah.
My whole life I knew this fool was on his baseball teams. This fool became a cop and he raided. It was insane. It was the both of us. His mind exploded. He was just like, what? What? And
Well, like,
yeah.
you didn't have contacts in too, or your glasses
Oh
on?
yeah, I
Like,
did. I wear contacts and
yeah.
glasses. I'm blind, and I this is in the story in the bit. It's not even a bit though. It's just what happened. Anyways, the cops are going hands in the air, and I can't see, and I think it's my roommate Leo playing a prank on me. So I'm reaching for my glasses, like, who is this? And then they're like, hands in the air, motherfucker, and I'm just like, holy shit, because they were filling up my windows, yelling at me. And then they're like, go to the door. And then I went, and then there was Chris, and I was just like, what? And then I farted on the cops, on the police, questioned me in the alley, the drug sniffing dog. I forgot that in the moth story. That's true. You could ask the cops, you could ask my roommates. I know it sounds insane, but I was so nervous and they were questioning me, and it was early, and I just farted. And my roommate Leo's looking at me like, what the fuck? And then I actually had UCB class
Oh my God.
with Grant Lyon, my good buddy that helped me uh, spark that. He told me go do stand up. Brian Granger and Grant Lyon really pushed me, and Maddie Goff, into getting into so many people, but because I used to do improv first, I was scared of stand up.
Yeah,
That's why
me
I'm
too.
bringing up
That's
the old friends that
yeah.
helped push me. Like, you should go over there.
Yeah.
And then, wait, what was the point? Oh, so I had UCB later with Grant and Maddie and etc. And then and then I get the class, and I was like, "Yo, I just got raided," and they're just like, "What?" And then I farted in class, and I didn't even remember that until Grant told me, like recently, like 6 months ago. So yeah, you farted in class that day too. You told us that you farted on the cops, and then you farted in class, and the teacher was disgusted by you and stopped the class and was like, "Grow up." And I was like, "Oh," and then yeah, that was I swear to God, like as I was handcuffed, because I've been to jail 3 times before this,
Yeah.
and bailed out, of course. My
Yeah.
mama loves me. Thank you, mama. And then yeah, all I kept thinking was like, I can't go to jail.
Yeah.
I I have UCB class later. I just paid $700 fucking dollars for this shit.
So much
I
money.
can't get locked up. I need to go be funny.
Yeah.
I swear to God, that's all I was thinking. How do I get out of these handcuffs and go to UCB funny school to be funny? And there's more layers of that story. I was going to bring up some methamphetamines. I didn't,
Yeah.
but so in my brain, when all that was going down, I worked at Trader Joe's for 11 years, and we hired this new guy, and he was a knucklehead. He was a knucklehead. I'm training him because
Yeah.
I was, there forever.
Mhm.
We have lunch together. I was like, "Hey, let's smoke." He looks at me. He knows I smoke. I know he smokes. I
Yeah.
smoke a bowl. We're in my truck. I smoke a weed bowl. He busts out motherfucking pookie pipe, meth, speed,
Yeah.
crack. I had actually never done that at that time in
Yeah.
my life. I'd sniffed it and shit, but like that's next level. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to go there. And then, you know, everything in my body said, don't do that. And then he goes, "You want to hit?" And I said, "Yeah." And then I hit it, and then we made work real good. I'm just saying, everything's interesting. I was fucking slanging milks, just bad drug. Good for energy. Let me just tell you that. And then, so I say all that because I really, even though I had dark drug behavior, that was a
Yeah.
long time ago. And at that time, when this was going down, I was kind of getting out of that world, was just a stoner,
Yeah.
and getting out of the narcotic world of addiction.
Yeah.
And then so I had just done that with him, and he was a shifty character. And then I get raided, and I'm just like, all I can think, like
Yeah.
in my head, I'm like, damn, these cops are good. Like I smoked meth one time because I was like, I don't even sell fireworks anymore. I still have some, and I'm on probation for fireworks. So you start thinking of all the shit. Like I got switchblades, fireworks, mushrooms, weed, you know, the basics. And then I was like, it can't be for that. Like I'm not Pablo Escobar. Yeah, I sell weed, but like an eighth to my buddy is
Yeah.
fucking the the fucking cop's badge is worth more than the money I make. You know what I mean? It doesn't make.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was like, well, it can't be weed and mushrooms. Like I haven't. That's just personal stash. I mean,
Yeah.
and so you just start going through the crimes in your head. You're like, well, maybe it was the meth at TJ's.
That's like
I
so
was like,
much.
wow, they're good.
It's like
That's
a
all I was
roller
thinking.
coaster of emotions. And
Yeah,
oh my God.
because you're just like, yeah, I do crime, but like this much,
Yeah. It's LA.
Yeah, like in LA, like I'm a fucking scholar, dude.
I know.
Like it's like go east or where,
I know.
like go raid a drug lord. I'm fucking got a quarter pound of weed. Get off my back.
And
Anyway, yeah, that all happened. As my buddy.
God.
Uh, I ran into him later,
Yeah.
and then I brought it up just like this. I was like, "Oh my God, remember when you raided me?" And it was just funny. I was doing that on purpose. He's like, "Yeah, dude." And he told me that the precinct talked about me for like a month, and he said they're like, "Remember that retarded hippie that farted on us?" And I was like, "Oh, that's so funny. That's me." And he said they talk, because they got. You can imagine, like, remember when I forgot the whole goddamn, to make it all make sense.
Yeah.
So, duped, back to the moth story. So, I lived in Culver City in a back house,
Yeah.
and my neighbor lived in the front house. It
Mhm.
was a landlord that just split the house in half, put a fence up, separate homes, families, residents, mailboxes, everything.
Yeah.
And so they were raiding him. But because I lived in the back property, they rated me by default because it was just they're
Yeah.
rating the property. They don't know
Yeah.
I'm not related to him in any way, shape, and form.
Yeah.
And then yeah, he was selling like, I don't know, guns or drugs or meth. He was two strikes though. They were trying to strike him out and send him to prison for the rest of his life. and they had helicopter. I mean, like this was a raid. I don't know how to. There was like 30 cops,
Oh my.
helicopter. They had everything. Ev- just they raided 2 houses that day. They raided his mother's house across the street. They
God.
found nothing, and he stayed a free man.
Whoa.
So King Mike is good at his job. And I used to steal
Insane.
his Wi-Fi and get weed off him. And in my act, I like do jokes like, yeah, I used to get his Wi-Fi. His name was King Mike. I have his password. It's Thug123. You know, just silly shit like that. But other than that, it's like 99% true.